Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Mr. Basile Explains Shakespeare. Today we're going to look at Act 5, Scene 3, and we're going to start right around line 92 with Romeo's soliloquy. We're going to pick up in the middle of it, or as I like to say, the most important part of it. The middle to the end of it, that is. So if you want to go ahead and pause this video while you find the page, that'd be great. Okay, thank you for pausing. So we'll pick up with this scene and we'll actually watch the movie version of these lines first. It's a great setting right here, you can see, beautifully done. Juliet in her shroud. That haunting song from the beginning. It's played throughout the film.
Oh, my love. My wife. Death that hath sucked the honey of thy breath hath had no power yet upon thy beauty. Thou art not conquered. Beauty's ensign yet is crimson in thy lips and in thy cheeks. Death's pale flag is not advanced there. Tybalt. Liest thou there in thy bloody sheet? What more favour can I do to thee than with that hand that cut thy youth in twain to sunder his that was thine enemy? Forgive me, cousin. Ah, dear Juliet. Why art thou yet so fair? Shall I believe that unsubstantial death is amorous, and that the lean abhorred monster keeps the ear in dark to be his parable? For fear of that, I still will stay with thee. Never from this palace of dim night depart again. Here will I remain, with worms that are thy chambermaid, Lord God.
Now I know it's horribly dramatic right now, and so I'm going to butt in. You'll notice they're going to skip a few lines here. They're going to skip, "Oh, here will I set up my everlasting rest and shake the yoke of inauspicious stars from this world-wearied flesh."
Eyes, look your last. Arms, take your last embrace. And lips, owe you the dawns of breath. Seal with a righteous kiss a dateless bargain to engrossing death.
And just to butt in again, we have this beautiful haunting music and all, but you'll notice they're going to skip, "Come, bitter conduct, come, unsavory guide, thou desperate pilot, now at once run on the dashing rocks thy seasick weary bark."
Here's to my love.
And as he's drinking it, you'll notice they're going to skip, "O true apothecary, thy drugs are quick."
Thus, with a kiss, I die.
Okay, so now that we've seen the film version of it, and we've read along, let's go over what each part means and what the importance is. So, it's interesting that in Zeffirelli's version there, you'll notice that they skipped the part where it talks about the yoke of inauspicious stars, and we skip over basically anything that has to do with fate. He skips over anything that reemphasizes or calls to our attention again the concept of fate or any sort of predestination. Zeffirelli seems to cut that from this soliloquy. Whether that was on purpose or not isn't entirely clear, but it certainly shifts a little bit of the focus and keeps it more on the fact of their unlucky love, so to speak, or their unlucky circumstances, rather than the role fate plays in any sort of destiny that Romeo and Juliet had. And in some ways, I guess that makes it more modern, I suppose, since we're, as a modern audience, a little less predisposed to believe that our fate is predetermined. So that's an interesting thing. So anyway, we'll pick up with line 92 or thereabouts, where he says, "O my love, my wife, death hath sucked the honey of thy breath, hath had no power yet upon thy beauty." Well, there's a reason she doesn't look dead. It's because she's not. So we have this beautiful dramatic irony right here where Romeo is sitting here, unbelievable to him how beautiful she still looks. And he says, "Thou art not conquered. Beauty's ensign yet is crimson in thy lips and in thy cheeks. And death's pale flag is not advanced there," or advanced there. They missed their accent in this edition of it, apparently. Well, when you look at this and when you read it, you realize that, hey, she's waking up. There's a reason her lips are still red and her cheeks have color in them. It's because she's not dead. The dramatic irony is dripping, and it's unbelievable. And then he notices Tybalt, and he turns to Tybalt, and he speaks about how, hey, isn't this appropriate, Tybalt? I'm going to take the hand. The hand that killed you is going to kill your killer, myself. So what better thing can I do to help you? And he asks for his forgiveness. Then he turns back to Juliet and says, "Ah, dear Juliet, why art thou yet so fair? Shall I believe that unsubstantial death is amorous? Can I believe that that death loves you? Is that something I can believe in? Is that possible?" And he says, "And that the lean, abhorred monster keeps thee here in dark to be his paramour?" So is death himself keeping you beautiful and keeping you so lovely and keeping you from a typical degradation of the body to be his secret lover in the dark? And then he says, "For fear of that, I will stay with thee, and never from this palace of dim night depart again." So he swears, he vows that he'll stay with her. And here he will remain, with worms that are thy chambermaids. And that's where the film leaves off and cuts us off with, "Oh, here will I set up my everlasting rest, and shake the yoke of inauspicious stars from this world-wearied flesh." I'm a little disappointed they didn't conclude those lines in the film version, because when you don't have those lines in the film, it completely takes away the whole concept of fate and what fate can do to Romeo and Juliet, and how Romeo is flaunting fate in the end. He's saying, "No, I'm not going to be denied Juliet. I'm going to be with her in death and forevermore. Eyes, look your last. Arms, take your last embrace. And lips, oh, you the doors of breath. Seal with a righteous kiss a dateless bargain to engrossing death." Very, very beautiful. It's sweet. It rhymes. It's musical even. It's beautiful poetry here. And these are his last words to her. "Come bitter conduct, come unsavory guide, thou desperate pilot. Now at once run on the dashing rocks thy seasick weary bark. Here's to my love. And that harkens back to earlier in the text when he talks about where if she was on the farthest shores, he would adventure for such merchandise. So, well, she's on the other side of the river Styx now, I guess you could say, so he's willing to travel even there. O true apothecary, thy drugs are quick. Thus with a kiss I die. So by eliminating the apothecary in the film version, it takes any kind of focus that could possibly be shifted away from Romeo and Juliet and keeps it directly on Romeo and Juliet and their choices. So hopefully you've enjoyed this edition of Mr. Basile Explains Shakespeare, and hopefully you've enjoyed this soliloquy as much as I have, because I think it is absolutely beautiful. And what better final words can you have than, thus with a kiss I die? And he kisses her and he dies. I mean, that's just lovely. You can't get any more romantic than that. All right. Hope you tune in for the next edition of Mr. Basile Explains Shakespeare.